So, Gio, Rivian's back in the news. They don't really pop up too much as months go on. They usually like to keep their developments under wraps for the most part. But we got to see our the configurator for the R1T and the R1S. Well, not us personally, because no one here decided to actually pre-order the car. But those with pre-orders were blessed with early access to the configurator to look through all the somewhat limited options, but decent amount of colors at the very least for the R1T and the R1S, and were able to share basically the entire configurator with us plebes who didn't decide to fork over any cash to buy the R1T. So we took a look. How'd you feel about the options and the pricing and the deliveries of the R1T according to the configurator?
Well, it seems everything's going as expected. Like you said, Rivian's a company that keeps a lot under wraps, which is interesting to see, especially in recent months where all these companies are spewing basically nonsense and stuff that's years and years away.
Yep.
You have the company that's talked the least about their product being the first to release it. This will be the first electric truck on the market, right?
Yeah, it should be June 2021. At least I hope.
And they're entering production in the next few months as well, right?
Yeah.
Q1.
Yeah.
So they have a factory. They're set up. This is not a render.
Yeah.
Everything in the configurator is kind of as expected. We knew a lot of the specs going in.
Yeah.
What we didn't know was pricing. So the pricing is really what's new here.
And the concrete delivery dates, or as concrete as you can be with ranges.
Concrete beginning delivery dates.
Right.
We had the range prior, but I guess now we have the exact month.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that comes through.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually surprised that they were able to throw in what are they calling it? The camper, the cooking edition.
I think it's
thing.
Is it just called a kitchen? I'm pretty.
The kitchen.
Camp kitchen.
I'm surprised that they were able to throw that in, because the car doesn't really have that many options. It's kind of like, what color do you want? What color interior do you want? What tier of materials do you want? And then, hey, you want to cook in your car? so that's an interesting note.
$5,000.
Fan of it.
How you feel about the price?
$75,000 starting for the first edition, right?
Mm-hmm. Which is weird. There's no premium on it, which is actually very interesting.
Correct. The first edition is going to be the first one released. We're not going to see any other trimmer edition until 2022 or 2021. January 2021.
No, 2022.
No, right. 2022. Yeah, 2022. Which is a full year away. You don't really get anything special with the first edition. Normally, sometimes you get a little bit lower specs at a little bit higher price tag, or backwards. It really depends on the manufacturer. Mm-hmm. Here, you're not really changing the price at all.
Nope.
You're getting the exact same thing for $75,000 in a year.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference is the logos, the first edition logos, and an exclusive color and wheel set. Apart from that, you can get the exact same car next year
at the same price.
But that's not the base.
No.
Base price for this car. We actually don't know the base price for this car yet.
Yeah, because all they have is the launch edition and the adventure, and the launch edition is, like you said, the adventure.
Launch edition is the adventure
with the option of a special color and wheels and badges, and then there's the Explorer, which is slightly lower tiered in terms of materials and comfortability on the inside, but it comes obviously at a lower price at $67,500 and is also coming out in January 2022. Interestingly enough, all of these are with the 300 plus mile range batteries, which Rivian is just calling the large pack. Those are the prices that are being reflected.
Which is 180 kilowatts. We do know the specs of this car prior to going into the configurator.
That's the 135.
Oh, yeah, there's a max.
Yeah.
I forgot. So it's 135 kilowatts, and then there's an even larger one.
The 180
kilowatt hours.
Yeah. Which Rivian is charging $10,000 for.
That's a little pricey.
That is a little bit pricey, definitely. And
100 miles of range extra.
And if you do choose to go for the 400-mile one, that does push back the delivery date to January 2022, even if you go with the launch edition 400 miles. I guess
so you can get the launch edition in 2022 with the, what are they calling it, the Max Pack?
The Max Pack.
So you technically can get the launch edition going into 2022. It won't expire once the other ones come out.
Yeah.
It seems.
In regards to the price of the battery upgrade specifically, it's definitely a steep cost. I guess Rivian feels that 300 plus miles is enough for most people, that most people will be all right with not having 400 plus miles, and the people that really are range centric are so motivated by range that they might be up for paying $10,000 extra. Plus, you also have to account for the fact that Rivian still qualifies for the full $7,500 U.S. tax credit, so I'm sure they'll use that as a way to alleviate the pain of that big of a upgrade cost.
It's still pretty ridiculous. I think that's the highest we've seen a battery marked up. 45 kilowatts extra for $10,000.
I don't know.
$100 a mile.
Yeah, but I don't know if we can say that because as we notice, basically all manufacturers base their trims around the battery size. So when you're configuring a car, you don't really have the option to upgrade the battery then and there. So you're not concretely seeing how much of an effect that has on the price. You would have to go onto a different trim level to get the bigger battery or the smaller battery. But Rivian seems to not segregate their trim levels based on battery size, and you can have whatever battery you want in whatever type of trim you want, which I guess puts the increase in range more upfront to the consumer. At least that's how I'm seeing it. But it's it's never pleasing to see the word plus $10,000 when you're clicking on a button. So, but
here's an interesting note though about that $10,000 upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting more range, but if these previous specs that were released are still accurate, you're actually getting a slower car. You're actually getting 700 horsepower versus 750 with the large battery pack, and a 0 to 60 of 3.2 seconds versus a 0 to 60 of 3 seconds, again with the large battery pack.
Yeah. Well, we can't, because I mean that's the only frame of reference we have at this point. But those specs are years old at this point, and Rivian can't even still give me an accurate, a concrete actual range, because as we've seen, it's either 300 plus or 400 plus, and we don't even know other specs aside from that concretely within the configurator, which is always a bummer when you're trying to build a car. You can't even get the finalized specifications of the car you're ready to put down money for. But yeah, that is something that should be noted at least somewhere, because when you look at the wheels options, obviously larger wheels have an effect on both the range and speed of the car, and all Rivian has in their configurator is that the wheels will have an effect on the range and the speed, but we don't know how big, where's my start point, where's my end point, how much am I really sacrificing here. So there are definitely some shortcomings in this configurator.
Do other manufacturers state that? I know Tesla does, but I don't think I've seen it anywhere outside of Tesla.
No,
how much the wheel set affects the range.
Yeah, that's definitely. I'm actually surprised it's not become kind of a bigger deal. I mean, with how much people look at the ranges of their cars more vigilantly than they ever did the fuel economy of their gas cars, I'm kind of surprised more people aren't wanting manufacturers to be more upfront about how much of effect larger wheels have on the ranges of the cars they're buying. But I don't know, maybe we'll see that down the line more electric cars are getting into more people's hands. In regards to the smallest battery pack, which I guess they'll call the small pack, the tiny pack, the minuscule pack, I don't know. It's still 105 kilowatt hours, so it's not small by any means. That car's supposed to have 250 plus miles of range, and we don't know when it's coming out. Apparently, Rivian said that a more refined date will be coming when they actually start production, but it's not even on the configurator. It's not even an option. So if you're one of those people that's holding out hope for the cheapest 250 plus mile ranged Rivian, you are still out of luck, and you will still have to be waiting.
How do you feel about the Explorer versus the what are they calling the other package?
The Adventure.
Adventure versus the Explorer. The only difference really is interior materials and underbody material, correct?
Yeah, the Adventure has an off-road upgrade that has reinforcements to the underbody and stuff like that. So if you ever decide to take your $70,000 truck off-roading, it can at least protect the underside from any rocks. But yeah, as far as I see it, clearly we talked about this before the podcast, but Rivian's more of a luxury pickup truck. It's no better seen than how frankly small their bed is, and the truck itself is pretty short. So it's definitely not built for, I guess, optimum utility, because if you were prioritizing utility over anything else, you would make the bed length probably as long as you possibly can without making the car look weird or unstable or something like that. But obviously Rivian looks to have a very luxurious looking interior. Actually, really, I like basically all the 3 different interior options they have. They all look nice. As we said, there's a big screen in the middle and there's a big screen in the back. The seats are nice and leather. There seems to be optimum room in the cabin, but you do sacrifice bed length, so it might not be the best choice for the quote unquote working man.
And yet they still want to market it as such, it seems, with these 2 separate options. I believe it also comes with an air compressor too, right?
Yeah. But
it's kind of like separating a work truck versus a luxury truck, but I don't know who's buying a $75,000 work truck. And even if they were, I feel like that type of person still wants it to be luxurious.
I feel like they're more going for the adventure crowd, obviously with the trim name being Adventure and Explorer. I feel like all the promotion material is the R1T in like the desert and in the mountains, and obviously they have this camp kitchen thing. So I feel like they're not necessarily pushing it out for like construction workers, but more for people that go out into the wilderness. But once again, I don't know who's
the RV of trucks.
Yeah,
this is just go to a campsite and chill by a campfire and have some s'mores.
Yeah,
it's not gonna go off-roading.
I mean, you could try, but
you can attempt it.
I mean, yeah. You can show off the tank turn to your friends and have the thing 180 degrees. I'm sure it was marketed in a way to get you out of tough spots when you're off road, but I just when a car's that expensive, I just don't know how many people would actually risk getting it all beat up, possibly, get stranded, have a tree fall on it, have boulder, but they are marketing towards the adventurous crowd. I mean, half their color names, I think, are named after famous like mountains in the world. So that's typically the crowd they're attempting to go for.
Just a quick note on size. The bed length is 4.5 feet, but I guess the truck is on the small side, but it's not minuscule. They took that bed space and added to the interior. The interior of this thing should be pretty massive.
It should be.
The dimensions are just slightly under like an F-150.
It should be one of the more comfortable interiors in the pickup truck world. At least I would hope. Because if you don't have any utility in the truck, in the bed, and the interior is also not at least somewhat spacious, then you're kind of failing on both fronts.
This is the most expensive electric pickup truck coming, right?
Well,
there's no one really targeting this high of a...
The Hummer
oh,
EV.
yeah, the Hummer.
And the Bollinger. Both, I feel, should be in less production than this, but they do exist in the electric truck space.
I don't think neither will be mass-produced at the extent that Rivian wants to mass-produce this.
True, but we haven't seen their base model yet. What price do you think the base model is going to be at?
Well, if they're charging $10,000 for the upgrade to the battery, I'm kind of hoping that they subtract $10,000 for the similar downgrade to the battery.
Well, there's obviously a bigger space between 180 and 135 than there is 135 to 105, so I don't think you're going to be expecting that big of a
True,
change.
But I also think the base will have less features.
You don't think?
I think we can expect the base under 65.
I don't know. I mean, the Explorer already comes with just like a manual cover. There's just standard surround sound. It's, I'm pretty sure the seat doesn't move in as many directions unless they comes with cloth seats. I don't know how much more they can downgrade the base model. I feel like it's just going to be the Explorer with a smaller battery. But what price did you say? I missed it.
65.
You think they're going to drop only $2.5 grand?
We'll go sub 60. I don't know. I don't work for Rivian. But the off-road package that comes with the reinforced underbody, the tow hooks and air compressor, that comes standard on the Adventure,
yeah,
can be bought on the other packages for only $2,000. So it's not adding that much to the price.
Yeah. Well,
there's a lot to take off. They could get rid of the wheel options, get some hubcaps going.
Hubcaps.
Some cloth seats, some hubcaps.
One color.
Roll down windows.
That's it. That's all you get. We're making it in silver, and you like it or not, we're gonna roll down the windows. Power steering
the paint
gone.
Options, the paint options on this are not free. What are they? $1,500?
Not.
Or was it $2,500?
Where's it all? I thought it was only some of them. Some are $1,500, some are $2,500, but I think there's a couple free ones. Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of in line with what we're seeing with new automakers. And I know people who are coming from more affordable cars are shocked to see people charging for paint color, but it is a thing. Even Tesla does it.
Bro, it's just a different pigment. Why I gotta pay more money for it? What's your favorite color here?
The Rivian Blue is that what they called it? I
think so. Man, now that I'm looking at it, this is it's a lot of gray. I got like
it is
blue gray, then I got kind of like green gray, then I got like night gray, and then black and white.
So and then there's been some minor changes to these renders because this configurator, as is all configurators, is just a render. It's not physical pictures of the actual car. There's been minor changes that people have noticed, like there's no longer a suede headliner or Alcantara or whatever material they were using in that original render is no longer there. It does seem to be a standard ceiling.
Yeah. Rip.
They saved some money on the steering wheel color. It's now just solid black throughout. It's
not two-toned.
But other than that, this kind of is in line with what was originally shown. So they haven't gone too far off from their original stuff.
Yeah.
And still were able to keep up that stated price range.
Yeah, good on them, because we thought initially it was going to be... Well, we initially thought it was going to be 60,000
$69
for the base, but...
For the mid-range is what they had.
Well, initially we thought it was the base, because that was the only price they ever said.
Yeah, they only said $69,000, but then later we heard, no, that $69,000 is actually for the mid-range.
Yeah.
So technically it didn't meet.
No, because it was a mid-range with like an option.
Yeah.
There's only like 3 options here. So I guess you could configure the Explorer with, I guess, one of the better wheels or one of the funky colors, and you'll get to 69. and it will be technically true. So I
mean,
guess
obviously,
good on them.
Obviously, as is every single EV coming out, they're all going to go head to head in comparisons versus whatever Tesla has to offer in that segment, which is in this case the Cybertruck. On all fronts, it seems the Cybertruck does beat it in specs and in price.
Yep.
But I am highly doubtful the Cybertruck will be able to beat this in quality and luxury status. The Cybertruck seems a little it's rugged.
The Cybertruck is definitely like impending. Like when we saw those pictures of it driving on the road, it just looks like a huge chunk of metal that you just can't ignore. This, I guess, Rivian's a bit more, refined.
It's
I guess
Range Rover of electric trucks.
It's the It's the RV of electric trucks. It's the Range Rover of electric trucks.
Side by side with the R1T electric truck is the R1S, which is slated for just a couple more months after
August 2021.
That configurator is also open August 2021. The price difference is only a couple $1,000s higher. It's the same exact platform, same exact truck, except it doesn't have a bed. It has third row seating.
And no option for
optional third row seating.
And no option for 400-mile battery, surprisingly enough.
Which is interesting. It kind of sounds to me like they are charging that ridiculous price and not offering it on the R1S because they don't really want anyone to buy it. They just want to say like, hey, look, we offered it.
I guess maybe if I had to come up with something on the spot, maybe they obviously want the off-road people, the adventurous people, and they think that a pickup truck will have more utility than an SUV, so they offer the bigger battery on the truck instead of the SUV because that's who the rich mountain climbers are going to buy, the truck versus the SUVs. So
but
I don't know.
It's the same exact platform.
I know it makes no sense.
To offer.
No, for sure.
I think it's just there to say, hey, we did it. We did it. Please don't buy it. Just like Tesla did with the $35,000 Model 3. It's the same case. We did it. Here it is. We're going to take it off the site. We're just not going to talk about it. Please ignore it. But it's here.
I don't know. Well, we don't know if it's never coming. I'm sure it might eventually come. They're just not prioritizing. They're just allocating all the big batteries to the truck because I'm sure they're going to sell more of the trucks than the SUVs.
Here's the thing with Tesla, we've seen them consistently improve their battery and increase range and make multiple changes throughout the year. From now until the base model of the Rivian comes out, there'll probably be 10 more changes to Tesla's lineup. Do you think in between now and then we'll see changes to their range with their max battery and their long range battery?
Probably not, but I don't know if we'll get a final range until like sometime next year probably. So that gives them the best flexibility, I guess, to eke out as much range as they can from the batteries they have without being too non-committal about it. And also, I don't know when they plan to release the base because, obviously they could be like Hummer and the base will not come out till 2024, or they can be a little bit more reasonable and then the base might come out, late 2022. So I don't think, depending on, I don't think they'll have too much issues at this current point because the Cybertruck still isn't even out. This is going to beat the Cybertruck to market, and they could maybe release the base R1T concurrently with the Cybertruck single model base as well, and maybe they'll have a competition there too. So,
well, the Cybertruck base is 300 miles.
Yeah, but
half the price.
Well, we don't know the price of the R1T. And 250 plus miles could technically be 299 miles, technically. So, we don't know anything yet. Obviously, it's not.
I just think it's going to be weird if by the time the base Rivian is able to be made, that industry standard for base range is like 300 miles. And here they are coming out 3 years later with a 250-mile range car.
Well, like I said, we don't know.
They
We don't
really
know
leave themselves no room to change like Tesla does.
Yeah, well, no, it feels like no automaker is willing to do the amount of changes that Tesla does. So it's kind of just like Tesla's race to lead, and then everyone else just kind of fights among themselves to be second place. And as far as I can see, Rivian has a very good chance to be a very strong second place. I mean, you have Ford whenever they decide to come out with the electric F-150. You know, you have Lordstown coming. Obviously, you have Atlas if they can get their crowdfunding coming. Why do I feel like I'm missing? Am I missing a truck?
Well, there's so many of them. You have the most important Nikola Badger.
Oh yeah, of course, the Nikola Badger, the king of kings. How could I forget? Whenever Dodge decides to like say that electric cars exists, I mean the Ram is a household name in the truck industry, so I mean sooner or later they're gonna have to make one. But for the time being, I mean this car is gonna be here in 6-7 months, and it will be the only option for a little bit, and that's definitely gonna be to their advantage. Would you get it over Cybertruck?
Would I get this over a Cybertruck? I think if the Cybertruck was never announced, I probably would have got this.
This would have been your car?
The Cybertruck kind of sold me.
Gotta love that cyberpunk design. And good specs. And good price. So, do we think Rivian's gonna overtake the Cybertruck? Probably not.
But they will do well.
Yeah.
That's basically confirmed at this point. They have Ford as an investor. Amazon's ordering 100,000 vans from them, which is who's also a significant investor. They're here to stay. Rivian's not anyone you have to worry about failing.
Yep. Oh, that's all we got to say. Let us know how you would configure your R1T, R1S, and catch you guys later.